Hey, welcome back to Doodling with Purpose. I'm your host, Scott Knightlick, or Scott Toy Guru Knightlick if you watch my toy videos. Today on Doodling with Purpose, we are moving into a new perspective on learning ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics because we're deep diving into verbs. We've been through all of the sounds, the monos, bi, and trilateral sounds, all different consonant sounds, and now we're going to do a real deep dive on verbs and verb usage. So to review from last week and from previously, when we talked about this about 70 lessons ago, there's 4 types of verbs. Strong verbs, doubling verbs with 2 of a consonant, weak verbs, and extra weak verbs. Extra weak and weak meaning they end in a weak consonant like an I. I is just considered a weak consonant. How do you know if your verb is weak or doubling or extra weak or strong? It comes over time. Doubling are obviously the easiest to spot because they have a double consonant. And so here's some examples. Sidim to hear is a strong verb. Ma'ah to see, a doubling verb. Mer to love, a weak verb. And radi or rad to give, an extra weak verb. And again, strong verbs, it's, hard to tell what you have and you just learn it over time. Now the infinitive form, the ing form, the past form, the ed form, the present tense, like adding an s, like loves, specific present is loving, slightly different from the infinitive. Future tense, may you love. And then there's 2 tenses in Egyptian that don't really have an equivalent in English. And that is the relative and participle forms. So the participle is sort of like having a verb as a noun, like one who loved. And the relative form is like having a verb as an adverb, saying what someone loved. And these can be used in ancient Egyptian as verbs. We'll get to it. Not to worry. We're going to go slow. We're going to go over all the tenses and how to spot what tense a verb is in, because that's kind of the tricky thing. So we're starting with the infinitive, the ing form of a verb in English. So the word love, or the verb love, would become loving. And this is noted by a extra T, only in the weak and extra weak. All right, so once again, we have all of our forms, and not all forms change for all tenses. For the infinitive version of a verb, so ing, an extra T is added to weak verbs and extra weak verbs. That is really our main and only clue that we are dealing with the infinitive form of the verb. You're not going to see this clue in strong verbs or doubling verbs. So if you have a paragraph, let's say, and it contains a weak verb, well, now you know what tense you're in, and you can now extrapolate to the strong and the doubling. All right, so I'll give you an example. We'll walk through these. Here is a strong verb. All right, we have sidim apid, hear birds, or hear the birds. Couldn't be a bird because we have plural at the end with that plural determinative there. The question is this hear the birds or hearing the birds? Now, you don't know that because you're in the strong verb tense. And as I said, the clue for the infinitive form is only in weak and extra weak verbs. So there is no clue here. Same thing happens when we have a doubling verb. So here we have the verb to see, the word cats. So we have ma'a, mu, mew. Is it see the cats or a cat? Or is it seeing the cat or a cat? The cat, a cat. You don't know because articles, again. There's no plural here, though. So I guess I shouldn't have written cats. Anyway, regardless. All right. So and then weak. Let's look at a weak verb. So here we have spatumut, which is saput is the word for bind, to bind something. And then timid, you may remember from your vocabulary, is the word for a sledge. You can see the actual sledge or sled. Did I write sledge? Should be sled. I put an extra G there. A sled. Ignore that it's a sledge. Well, I guess a sledge is like a sled. All right. The point is, you can see this extra T here because it's a weak verb or a weak form. So in the infinitive form, a weak verb gets an extra T. The word sp with a determinative of a rope coil at the bottom is the word to bind. Getting rid of the determinative and replacing it with a T now tells us that we are in the infinitive form because weak verbs end in a T when they're in the infinitive form. So that's your clue. That's how to understand your tense. It's the only clue you get for the infinitive, and each tense has a different clue, and not all verb forms get the change related to the tense. So we're going to go through them in the coming weeks. So really what you're walking away from today is to know that in the infinitive form, you only know that you're in the infinitive based on week or extra week. So looking at the bottom there, so there's an extra week example. So we have Radi Osiris, so praising Osiris. So the verb in the front, extrapolated there to the left, die, di, then you could have an extra weak consonant there. Giving, did I say giving? Well, it's giving praise to Osiris, or giving, yeah, and we're giving to Osiris. And again, we've replaced the I with that T, so that you know, because it is an extra weak verb, that you are in ing, infinitive. It is not to give praise to Osiris, it's giving praise. That extra T confirms what tense we're in because we have an extra weak verb. So that is really what your homework then is for this week, is to basically write out the infinitive verb tense and know that we're going to get through all of them, and in each tense, as we get to it, we'll talk about what is the clue, which versions of a verb change in each tense. So here's your homework for this week, this sheet here. So copying out that infinitive verbs, there's no change to strong, no change to doubling, but in week and extra week, you get an extra T, letting you know you're an ing. I hope this lesson was helpful and enjoyable for you. Please like and share, and let me know any questions in the comments below. I'll be sure to help you out. Thanks for being part of the class. It's so much appreciated, and I'll see you guys next time.